So there have been some interesting pieces of information released lately regarding the upcoming 2023 Ram 1500. I say upcoming, but the Ram 1500 is now, I guess, available to order for 23 or will be very, very soon. Now there hasn't been a whole lot that has changed, but there has been a few interesting little pieces of information that have come out. So I just wanted to go over that with you real quick in case you're shopping one of these beautiful 5th gen Ram 1500 pickups. So let's begin with the interior. So the biggest change you're going to see for 2023 is the new gauge cluster. So they've got this fully digital 12-inch gauge cluster that is now going to be on some of these trucks. I don't think you're going to get it on the base level tradesman, for example, but if you get on up into the nicer trims like this, you're going to be able to see that 12-inch fully digital gauge cluster. Now the cool thing about that is that you're going to be able to have some things in there that you formerly had to use the infotainment screen for. So like, for example, navigation, turn-by-turn directions. There's going to be a heads-up display. So literally in your line of sight as you're driving down the road, you can see some information there. It's going to be one of those things that's safer. It's going to increase safety, but it's also going to be really cool and handy to have that information kind of in front of you rather than having to look over to your right and mess around with the infotainment screen. Don't have an exact dollar figure on what that would cost if you have to upgrade to it. Don't know exactly, if it's going to be standard equipment. I assume that on certain levels, like the Limited and probably some like a TRX, some of your upper trim levels will probably just come with it. But anyway, that's going to be the biggest thing that you're going to notice that's different on the interior of the 23 is that huge 12-inch digital gauge cluster. I really like analog gauges. I think these 2022s are really nice. You got the analog gauges, you still have a beautiful digital display in between that. So I'm kind of happy with that. But some people love those bells and whistles, and it will be kind of neat. Another change for the interior is the addition of the select speed control. So, like the Jeep Gladiator and Wrangler has that. If you get the Ram, you can get it on the TRX. But now for 23, it's going to be available on additional trim levels. So from what I understand, any of these trucks that have the off-road group on them or packages that are based upon the off-road group, like the backcountry, for example, are going to now have the select speed control. So if you're not familiar with that, basically if you're off-road on a trail, you can set the speed that you want the truck to travel with the button, and you can control that with some controls there, and the truck will automatically continue to creep and crawl through the trail at that speed. It'll use whatever it needs to as far as the powertrain goes to maintain the speed that you set it at. It's sort of like off-road cruise control at really low speed. It can be very handy if you go off-road quite a bit, but I think that most of the people that use that are your recreational off-roaders. And I don't know how many people are really recreationally off-roading a truck like this. But it's going to be on the 23s, and it's a pretty cool feature. So that's basically the main gist of what you're going to see different on the inside of the 23. I guess the really interesting information, at least to me, deals with the powertrains on the 23s. So you will no longer be able to get what I call a traditional engine. And what I mean by that is just an engine that doesn't have any other form of propulsion or power adding, bolted to it. So for 23, the Pentastar and the Hemi, the V6 and the V8, are both going to be offered in mild hybrid form only. So that's the e-torque system, and so obviously you're not going to be able to get, like this truck has the traditional Hemi V8. It's got an alternator. It doesn't have any 48-volt battery packs or wiring or any of that stuff. It's just a simple, traditional, dependable V8 engine like we've had for decades and decades. And a lot of people really like that, and you can't get that anymore. So if you get the Hemi V8 or the Pentastar V6, you're going to have to get the e-torque mild hybrid system. The EcoDiesel returned for 23, so you can still get it. And you can still get the TRX for 2023. So that's a supercharged 6.2 liter V8, of course. So basically your 4 engine options all have a turbo, supercharger, or a hybrid system on them. There's no more simple traditional engines offered anymore, which is really a bummer. And I'm kind of surprised that they're doing that. Now the Hurricane engine that we talked about in the last video, the 3 liter, it's also a turbocharged engine. And it also has direct injection and a lot of those other new technologies on it. So basically no more simple as pie, old school, traditional engine options on these trucks anymore. Everything that's offered is going to be, like I said, a more sophisticated option. And there's something to be said for that, because like I said, some guys just, like me for example, you know, I got this truck with the non-e-torque traditional Hemi because I didn't want the future expense, the overcomplication, the potential fire hazard. You know, I've seen video after video after video of these hybrid pickup trucks catching fire because there's a lot of voltage coming out of that battery pack and a lot of wiring. And if anything goes wrong, I mean, just yesterday I saw a video of a new Toyota Tundra hybrid that had caught fire. And usually what happens is they put that hybrid battery pack along the rear firewall or under the seat, you know, and so when it goes up in flames, the whole truck is just gone in a matter of minutes. Pretty dangerous, especially if you have a family. You know, I just don't want that risk. And like I said, the future headache and expense of keeping that on the road. I just like a traditional V8, you know, and it looks like that Ford is still going to have the 5 liter for now, for the time being. And Chevy's still going to have the 6.2 and the 5.3, which are basically kind of like the traditional Hemi, you know, in that they don't have a lot of extra sophistication in them. But those two are the only game in town for 23, and they're probably not going to hang around for much longer. So that's the big news, is that we don't know exactly when the Hurricane engine is going to show up. We know that it's coming. They've already said so. Don't know exactly when they're going to make it available for order. You know, that everything's just kind of wild and crazy in the world right now. But it is coming. For the time being, the 4 engine options are the ones that we just highlighted. So if you're looking for a traditional, old school, non-e-torque Hemi Ram, you're probably going to want to go find a 2022 model right now while there's still some on the lots. So that's basically it. Now, there's going to be a couple of minor changes as far as, you know, trim packages and things of that nature. But for the most part, those are the changes for 23. A little bit of interior tweaking and some new technology in there, and taking away probably the most popular powertrain that they had, which was the non-e-torque Hemi, going away. So kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. And I guess we should be happy that for at least the time being, they're still giving us some V8 option, right? So let me know what you guys think about that. If you're shopping a Ram 1500, are you going to try and find a 22 while you can, or do these new 23 changes just not really bother you? Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you later.